evening. Today is Tuesday, September 15, 2015. The planning board, the Milford Planning Board is now in session. I would appreciate it if everyone could find a seat. If they can't, to please keep the voices down so we can go get to the point here. Thank you.
I'll make
Okay.
a motion for the minutes.
Motion made by Pat. No.
As
You wanna make
amended.
the change?
As amended.
As amended, motion made by Pat, second by John. As amended, all in favor? Unanimous. This is 81P, 2 Lynn Lane, Robert Stratton.
Everybody signed it.
Okay, Bob?
Okay, this is an 81P plan, which is going to combine parcel take a parcel from one property, combine it to another. This is Robert Stratton's parcel. It was, that you see here, just this square. And then his brother owned this property here, which came around here, up and down. So what they're doing is they're just extending this lot line to this lot line, and then bringing this parcel and conveying it to lot 22. So this all becomes lot 22, lot 24. All the parcels meet the zoning requirement for area and the rule of 22. And that's basically it. No new house proposed. It's just squaring off these lots and
Make
adjusting
a
the
motion to
area.
sign the 81P.
Motion made by Babe, seconded by John. Sign the 81P, all in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous? Okay. Gonna sign those Mylars later, Bob?
No, I signed it.
Larry.
Larry
Larry's
signed
gonna
it.
sign.
I think he signed him yesterday, Lena.
Okay, thanks.
Aye.
Stop it.
I signed it 2 minutes ago.
All right. 5 Highland Street, Tejo Rubio. 81P. Come on in.
He's already,
Mm-hmm.
might be easier to just put it up on the,
Why don't you hang it on the wall? It's easy.
Oh, no, I like his fancy contraption.
If you can ever get it together.
Of course, it only works fine the rest of the time.
Well, you can leave it in the room.
yeah, I need an extra one.
Normally, I don't have a board to put it on.
Turn it some more. Yeah, there you go. Get it on the
Does the
camera.
board need copies of the plan?
Yeah, I can't really see that.
Okay.
You wanna stand on the other side?
Yeah, that'd be fine. Here, let me pass.
Wait a minute.
You see that? Because I really can't see
No.
that.
Oh, shit, I know we can't. No doubt.
I need the Mylar.
Please, you want to just move your copy? and share?
Yeah, we'll share it. We'll share this copy.
I said I wasn't sure which one this was. I didn't know that.
He has a driveway. It's gotta take.
Okay, good evening. My name is Byron Andrews. I'm with Andrews Survey and Engineering. I'm representing Tiago Rubio tonight. Rubiero. Mr. Rubiero has a lot on Highland Street, at the beginning of Highland Street, 5 Highland Street, and he wishes to subdivide it into 2 lots. At this time, he has a house and garage all on one side, so what he would be separating out this second part here. This new lot would have 80 feet of frontage, which is what the zoning requires. It would have about twice as much of the area required, and it would leave Mr. Rubio with the remaining lot with over 80 feet of frontage, and his house would meet the current zoning requirements.
Is he relocating his driveway back onto his own property?
Yes, he
has
will
to.
be relocating it.
Any questions from the board?
Oh, I know the property.
I know the property also.
Motion.
Chairman.
Motion made by Pat,
Form As and
second by
Second.
Joe. All in favor? Unanimous of 5. Thank you.
Maybe it's not.
Sign this.
You were supposed to have figured that out.
Where those files?
Saw that a check had been written.
Oh, yeah.
156, but it was by another member of our staff.
Well, it's $100, $150.
Sign it and date it.
Yeah. Should be 250.
So it should be 250.
But that's the amount I got. I have a check right here.
Well, just move it along, whatever. Yeah. It's all, yeah, it's supposed to have been ready for the chairman.
You date it too.
I did, yeah, I did. Did you say that? What all they have on the sign? I don't care. You all set there?
Yeah, you just had to pay him.
Okay.
Right. Thanks. I signed it.
That's when you're good.
I gotta wait for him to finish, yeah. Take your time. Take it easy, take your time.
You guys have a busy night tonight.
Yes, we do.
Been easier to put it up on the board, but that's just me.
I was gonna leave the board behind.
Well, it's the stand that I want.
That's what I was hoping for you, Larry.
Should've done that long. We can't take any new evidence, so. No one can say anything, that's closed, the public hearing is closed, we can't do anything. We have to-
All right, I mean, you that much time. You all set?
I'll say thank you.
You're welcome. Just gonna wait for him to leave. Okay. Number three, deliberation of the special permit discussion, 364 to 366 Main Street, Milford Medical Building LLC. 2 weeks ago, there was a public hearing held, and at that time, the public hearing was closed. But we are deliberating on certain things that we want Bob to bring forward to the committee, which is
The rear drainage,
the rear
Yeah,
drainage. The rear drainage,
there was discussion on the type of shrubs and the size.
and the signage, if there was,
Oh, no,
we didn't do the signs, no, okay. So those are
I
the
think the
couple of
entrance was
things.
another discussion point, if I recall correctly.
Well, if I
Okay,
might, I had prepared a draft decision for the board because with the hearing being closed, the applicant's not even in a position to present new evidence. So the draft that I prepared that should be in your packet is what I would call a directed decision. It has a lot of the same conditions that you would normally have had, but it also has some specific things, including the ones you just mentioned, that if I might, Madam Chair, I could
Please do.
read through and
Okay.
and to the extent that I captured all of the things from my notes and I watched the YouTube
Okay.
replay again today.
all right.
So hopefully, I've included the items that the board had discussed previously. To follow in the draft decision on page 2, after the phrase "a motion was made," in the first condition refers to the plan that was submitted. However, as I say, the other items needed to be addressed, so I added a phrase that that plan shall be further revised to reflect these following specific requirements. The first one, labeled A in the list, is that the access drive be reduced to a 24-foot wide two-way driveway, and that it be constructed so the center line is perpendicular to the center line of Route 16. That'll help with visibility in both ways because it'll be at a 90-degree angle. The original proposal was not at a 90-degree angle, so it would have been difficult to looking over one's shoulder, trying to check the oncoming traffic, and also that the leveling area that we typically require at driveways before they enter the public way would be affected once the Route 16 widening project is done, so that needed to be adjusted, so I included that as well. Now, the second one on the list, shown as sub B, that the proposed dumpster pad, and associated screening shall be relocated to the end of the receiving driveway. That's at the southwesterly corner of the building, and actually southwesterly corner of the site.
By the receiving,
What did you say, Chad?
by the receiving.
What did I say?
No, I was just,
Yes, yeah, by the receiving drive. The third one is labeled sub C. On sheet 3 and 4 of the plan, that should be revised to depict the proposed right-of-way and roadway expansions that are shown on the Mass DOT 25% submittal design plans for the Route 16 improvement project.
Could somebody turn that off? Thank you.
So that to the extent that that's as far as the state has gotten in the roadway improvement project is the 25% plans, that won't progress until further review occurs and it moves forward on the tip. So that would include any expected takings that they're showing on that plan and any temporary construction easements to the extent that they've proposed them, and it would include appropriate notes that would relate back to that plan, but also to the developers' proposed scheduling and coordination of the elements in their plan to the extent that they may need to coordinate that with the state project. But again, these are just to reflect what the 25% design plans show, because none of us are in a position to know exactly what they're going to be right now anyway, and the planning board doesn't have the authority to require easements at this stage where it's such an unknown. The fourth one, labeled D, on sheet 11 of the plan, that would be further revised to note that the 4 species of trees noted, white fir, Norway spruce, white spruce, and eastern white pine, the height be increased to 10 to 12 feet at installation, and that was, again, something that was discussed at the public hearing.
Yes.
And as I recall, the applicant agreed to that as well at the time. And the last one, under sub 1, is E. On sheet 12 of the plan, that would be also revised to note that all on-site lighting is to be regulated to reduce overall lighting levels during overnight hours to the extent practicable, and fixtures shall be directed or shielded to avoid glare and spillover lighting along the Nelson Heights street frontage.
Yep.
To the extent that the plan was somewhat difficult to read, it actually already addresses that, but additional notes would be placed on the plan so that to the extent that it doesn't go far enough on the photometric plan already, that's in there, and if there are concerns, we'd have something to fall back on.
Okay,
Condition number 2, no occupancy permits, that's a standard condition. Condition 3, in lieu of full completion, they could bond for such things as landscaping in a further season. That's typical language.
yes.
Condition number 4 is specific to this development. It reads, Nelson Heights shall not be used as access to the site for construction-related purposes, and no construction activity is to occur within the Nelson Heights right-of-way, including parking or storage of construction-related vehicles and equipment, except as otherwise necessary for the installation of the required storm drain connection. Obviously, it goes under the street, so they have to do a trench to do that. And for the required landscaping that's actually along the Nelson Heights frontage. All the rest of the development on the property can be accomplished with access from Main Street, including building the retaining wall and doing all the other grading and construction on the site. Condition number 5 is a standard condition for traffic control with police details as necessary, in this case along Main Street and Cape Road. Number 6, the dust control is a standard condition. Number 7, the hours of work between 7 and 6 on weekdays, 7 and 5 on Saturdays, and no construction on Sundays or national holidays. That's a standard condition. And then number 8's a standard condition in these situations that the plan that was submitted, special permit, is sufficient as a site plan under section 1.15 in the bylaw. But I think the primary focus, I would suggest, are the conditions that I added under condition number 1, A through E, and then condition number 4 itself about the
Okay.
Nelson Heights construction. So I think that addresses everything you talked about one way or another during the hearing. And what this would allow procedurally to happen is that should the board approve this, and hopefully you would be able to tonight, then I would post it tomorrow. That would start the 20-day appeal period, and once the appeal period lapses, then they would bring a plan back that shows all of this stuff with a new revision date. But they can't submit that now because we closed the hearing.
That's right.
So that's all I have for now.
Okay. So what's the pleasure of the board?
I just have a couple quick requests, if I could.
Right.
Based on the density of the neighborhood, my only question, and we've done this before, is the Saturday work change it from 7 to 8?
8 in the morning?
Yeah, instead of 7, that would be, I know we've done that before. And my only other,
I think that's amicable.
well, again, I'm
Is it on Saturdays?
just on Saturdays,
Just
change
on
it from 7 to 8.
Saturdays,
And my only other
8 to
hope.
5?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Yeah.
My only other hope is that as you drive by Nelson Heights, for some odd reason, if you notice, and I don't know why, there's not a sign at the end of the road that reads no outlet or dead
Oh,
end.
I know that. I brought that
There
up
is.
with Larry
Or there
today.
had been an
If there,
old
if
dead-end
there
sign.
is, you cannot, it's nowhere to be found because I haven't noticed it, so.
Yeah, Bonnie and
My
I
only
can-
other request would be that you send a note or a letter or request that the highway surveyor
Yeah.
erects a
Right.
sign, whether it be no outlet or dead end or what have you, just to try to alleviate confusion.
Yeah.
Once this is complete, that people realize that it's a dead end road.
Yeah, a new sign at the proper dimension would be easier to see
Like I
than
said,
the old.
if
than
you
the
drive
old
by,
yellow one.
there
Right.
is no sign that depicts that there is no outlet, so that would be my only, which doesn't have to do with this
Right.
I
necessarily
agree.
this
I-
applicant,
I-
unless he wanted to put one up,
I
but
drove up by
other
there
than
the other
that.
day and saw the same thing. I agree with you.
Yeah, Bonnie and I were gonna talk to Scott about,
Babe, do you have
Process for that.
any comments? Joe?
No, those were the issues that I had.
No,
during
I had the
the
same
decision.
issues, so-
Same issues here?
so I can make that change,
Yeah, that was my only
That's the
two.
only
if you want.
change, yeah, make that one change and we'll be all set?
Yeah, again, I just like just so someone follows up with the
the
highway
sign.
surveyor,
Yeah,
putting up a sign that
Okay.
arguably should have been there anyhow, but.
all right.
so somebody needs to make a formal
Motion.
motion.
Yeah, motion made by Pat, second by Babe. All in favor? Unanimous? What? Yeah, all in favor? Unanimous of 5.
Yeah, I can change this after the meeting if you
Meeting.
wanna hang around.
I'll hang around, yeah, that'll be
Sign
fine, okay.
Nice presentation.
Okay, Joe.
You did
Okay,
a good
thanks.
job.
Have a good night. Do we not have anything on 4?
Yeah,
Oh, okay, thank you.
yeah, there's so much, I didn't do
Okay.
anything yet until you see what
Okay.
the latest is being submitted.
Okay. I didn't know if I was missing something.
I'm gonna fix it after.
I didn't know if I was missing something.
Hey, Keith, how are you? I didn't recognize you. Have a seat. I'm going to stand up.
So,
I'll step back.
okay.
All right.
Well, just let Bob set up.
Yeah. Everybody kind of settle down a little bit.
Well, Larry has a thick packet to pass.
I know he does. He told me that. Okay, this is continued site plan review of 400 East Main Street, the FRE Building Corp. Incorporated. I'm ready.
Thank you. If it's okay, I'd prefer to stand so I can speak to
Please do.
the board and the residents.
Larry, do you need to pass those out, or if he's gives the presentation or not?
Well, I don't have whatever he's
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry.
got. These are just all the old things. from
Okay,
That's it,
previously,
yeah.
If anybody had a question.
Nope, nope,
The new
nope.
stuff.
Okay. Thank you.
Hey, thank you. My name is Jeff Roloffs. I'm an attorney for the applicant here.
Okay.
I'm going to, I've submitted 2 letters to the board. I'm going to quickly go through the key points of those letters.
Okay.
Given the time that's passed since we've submitted those. Bob Poxon will speak tonight as related to the structural details that the board had asked for at the last hearing. And the applicant's traffic engineer, Kim Hazavarchian, is here also, and will update the board with respect to traffic issues.
Okay.
So I had submitted 2 letters, one dated August 4th, one dated August 5th. And let me hit the second one first tonight. And the point of that letter was just to make sure that everyone understood what this facility was and what it wasn't. And I don't mean to present this in any disrespectful way. I assume by now people probably know, but there's some very common confusion between concrete batch plants, which is what we are talking about here, a cement manufacturing facility or a cement plant, and an asphalt plant. So what's being proposed here is a concrete batch plant. It's essentially bringing raw materials to the property, primarily sand and gravel. There is cement that's a part, 10% of each mix approximately consists of cement and water, and these materials are stored on site. The cement, which is usually the substance of most concern to neighbors, is pumped into a silo that has bag houses and filters and alarms and shut-off equipment on it. So it's very highly controlled. These materials are then dropped into a truck inside of a building with all kinds of dust control measures in place, and it's all mixed together in the truck on way to the job site.
Right.
That's a concrete batch plant. It's not at a cement manufacturing facility. There's a lot more going on there, and there are high heat processes involved. There's usually quarrying and mining and crushing and things like that that just won't happen at this facility. Asphalt plants, similarly, they're generating asphalt. There's high heat processes involved with that facility, usually odors and things that just aren't part of the facility that's being proposed here.
That's a very important part of this discussion, the batch versus the old type of cement factory.
Right, and I probably should point out also, there are also concrete batch plants that people are familiar with that have been out here, throughout Massachusetts for years and years. The plants today are significantly different, and that's because of the air quality controls that the federal government and the state governments have imposed on new facilities as compared to older facilities that were grandfathered in
Okay.
because they've been around for 50 or so years.
That's important information.
Okay, thank you. So unless you have any questions on that, I'm going to turn to my other letter. And there are 2 points that I make in this letter. And one just is a reminder to the board as to its role in this process. And this process is a site plan review process associated with a use that's allowed by right in the underlying zoning district. And there's a big difference between a site plan review process and a special permit process. So in the special permit process, that comes into play for uses that aren't allowed by right. They're only allowed if the board authorizes the use. So the big question in that context is whether or not the board should allow the use at all. This is not a special permit process. This use is allowed by right in this district. That was something decided by the town years ago, and it's still part of the zoning bylaw. But there is a site plan review process, and the fundamental purpose of the site plan review process is to inform the other decision-making boards in town. So primarily here it's the building inspector. And so before we can file a building permit application, we need to come in with a site plan to the board, and we need that site plan to provide various elements, details, and information, and it's all spelled out in the zoning bylaw itself. If those details are provided, then the zoning bylaw instructs the board to approve the site plan. There are also some design elements that are specified in the bylaw. And what the bylaw says is if the board reviews those and thinks that some of those design elements are not met, you should still approve the application, but put a comment in your report that this particular design feature is not satisfied or something to that effect. And we think that we've met the submittal requirements as well as the design elements. But the key point is that this really is fundamentally a different review process than a special permit review process. So I just wanted to point that out and remind the board of that. The last point that I raised was that this facility will undergo very comprehensive review before the Mass Department of Environmental Protection, the Mass DEP. And the Mass DEP's role is to make sure that this facility will be operated with a layer after layer of worst-case assumptions, will be operated in a way that will not result in a violation of the air quality standards that have been established by the state and by the federal government. So these air quality standards are set to protect public health as well as public welfare. And public welfare are things like nuisance conditions. So conditions that, for example, if there's dust that you start seeing on your car, that might not present a health problem, but it's a public welfare issue. So the air quality standards set by the state and federal governments are intended to ensure that that the people will be not impacted by any sort of health threats or nuisance type features. And when DEP reviews these facilities, they review the physical attributes of the plant, the layout of the plant, as well as the operational protocol. They require air modeling and some very sort of detailed analyses that I won't get into here unless you want me to. But they will not issue that permit unless they are assured that this facility will operate in a way that satisfies or meets the air quality standards. In addition to that, in their approval, they will, in addition to whatever we have proposed, they will require certain types of monitoring, they will require reporting, and they will build into their approval very clear enforcement authority. So if down the road the facility operates in a way that they hadn't expected it to, and it results in a violation of anything that they've specified, or if it results in a violation of air quality standard, they can shut down the plant. Right. So DEP is going to be reviewing this before this facility can get constructed. It's a pre-construction DEP review.
Right. They can shut down the plant and also fine them, correct?
Yes. I mean, their enforcement authority.
enforcement is strong.
Authority is very broad.
Right.
That's right. So I think with that, I'll turn it back over to Bob, and unless you have any questions on these points that I've raised.
Anyone on the board have a question?
I'll be here, so.
No?
Not now.
Thank you.
Not now, okay.
I do have all those old submittals if anybody needs to refer to them, but I've seen them
Right.
before, so.
Okay.
Okay, so here again, here's our site plan, and we've had several meetings, and we've had some concerns regarding traffic for the most part that we have addressed. Our traffic engineer has done several submissions regarding the traffic. First we did a major traffic study, then we looked at things like the truck speed limit going up the hill and how it would affect traffic. We also looked at, one of the latest things we submitted is what the traffic impacts would be for this site if it was developed as in three-story office building as opposed to this cement plant, which has, they can't have more than 4 trucks per hour coming, leaving the site because that's how long it takes to get a truck loaded and mixed and out the, and out the building, out the process. So, I believe we've addressed all those issues sufficiently as far as traffic is concerned. We are in the process of working with Mass DOT regarding the curb cut application. One of the things that, in conversation with them, that they suggested and recommended was that we show signs approaching the driveway and approaching the hill, it's basically a sign with a truck going up a hill showing people that, you know, there's a possibility that there could be a slow-moving truck climbing the hill in this location here for a few hundred feet. The second issue that we needed to address on the site was the proposed retaining wall, which we show here as a machine-built wall or a ledge face, and it was requested that we have a geotechnical engineer look at this and design this plan. We did contract with geotechnical consultants in Marlboro. It did take them some time to get done what we needed to get done. They went out, they sent an engineer out who did 14 test holes all along the location of the wall to determine the depth to ledge and the type of ledge that was there. And then from that, they have created a plan that you see here, showing the wall, and the wall would be a combination of blasted, drilled ledge face with segmented block on top of it, and to make up the difference in the height elevations, you know, based on the depth of soil in the area, and to get to the elevations and the depth of the bedrock.
The elevation view starts on the plan down at the, well, in the middle of the site plan, right? The starting point is,
Starting point is corners, let's see.
well, the starting point up in the upper left on the elevation view is
Zero,
right in the
zero.
middle of the plan, basically.
Uh,
Up, right there. No,
where are you
no,
thinking?
the bottom one.
Down here.
Yeah, right
Yeah,
there,
right, that's
right
0,
there.
0,
That's where the,
Right.
that's
So
where
it's
the
not-
elevation
that's where
plan
it's pretty much
starts.
in gray almost.
Right.
And it kind of climbs up and goes around.
Just to orient everybody.
That's pretty much anything that's new since the last hearing. Basically, we were really waiting for this plan, and these
And there-
people to do something. We have an engineered drawing by a geotechnical, firm.
And the
They have a
wall.
report that they're preparing as well, but we wanted to make sure that the plan was presented and let you know that we have done that.
You've done it all, done
Yes.
everything, okay,
Any questions for traffic, and say our traffic consultants will show you.
okay. Do we have any questions for the traffic? Joe, Babe?
So I had gone, I had reviewed
You
the
already
traffic
done
reports,
through that, okay.
The comments that
Joe,
they were fine. The only other thing was the letter from the water company,
Yep.
and
Well, on this, on the last plan, if you see, I have on note 27 on this plan, it says water for yard sprinkler system and the wash area to be supplied by on-site artesian well, which we have located on the site in this location right here. So we,
I see that.
did you locate the truck wash too?
no, we did not locate the truck washes yet,
Need
but
to-
we did state where, we were gonna put one in, so we just have to add that to the plan.
The only other thing you're gonna need to do is, as it clearly states in our documents, is this needs to be a stamp plan.
Yes, yeah, I mean, I've been working and pushing them, trying to get it, they finished it up.
Well, just going back to what the lawyer had to say, that you haven't met the minimum requirements that we had, so you haven't done that yet, so for us to approve the plan is not a question until we get what we need to do it. This is a lot better than what came in before in August, when we first received that letter, and you hadn't even completed the minimum requirements that the board needed to even consider the plan, so. But we still need to have that before we can make a final.
Decision,
Or we may make a final decision, but we would need a stamped plan submitted to us before we could sign it.
Yeah, I agree,
Right.
more than, yes, we agree to that, yes, definitely.
Approve it, subject to.
Also, Bob, there should be a note on the plan that the truck wash should only be in operation, would cease operation during the hot water season, the concrete hot water season. There's no sense spraying ice on the
Oh.
truck. So as soon as the plant starts its hot water operation for the winter.
There's no need to.
Oh.
Correct.
all right.
Yeah, so we can show the truck washing station and make sure this is a stamp plan and add that note.
You can add that.
And the truck washing station should be as far back as possible to ensure, if you're gonna use the water, spread the water out to stop the dust. And also, but you're gonna have to make it easy for the trucks to to access it too, so.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, obviously, you'd wanna have it somewhere, you know, so that they could come off of it and go right onto the paved area as well,
Right,
you know, so.
again, all trucks are gonna have to do it, supply trucks and your own vehicles have to go through the truck wash.
Sure.
Ed? No? Nothing?
My concerns have been met.
Have your all concerns have been met here?
Mine
And
have
Joe,
been addressed.
Yeah, I don't have anything else.
you don't have anything? All right, that's the pleasure of the board.
So, we still have, the public hearing still open, is not?
It's not a public hearing.
It's not a
site
public
plan-
hearing.
Just site plan
The
review.
site plan, yeah.
Well, you may wanna ask if there's any comments from the,
I am.
And,
All right, is there any comments from the board, from the audience? Yes. Please state your name and your address,
Peter Scandoni, 57 Whitewood Road.
okay?
I'm a member of Citizens Milford Group, and I got involved in this group because I'm interested in Milford's development. And I'm here tonight representing the Citizens Milford Group only. And of course, obviously, certain businesses come into Milford have more stumbling blocks towards approval than others. So, first of all, the Citizens Milford members are not opposed to this development, although we certainly respect the Zane's position as well. We acknowledge the company has the right to build this facility on this site as zoned, and the mitigation measures shown in the plans appear reasonable. However, our concerns are simply how are the measures to be monitored and enforced. In this case, Citizens for Milford Group has concerns mainly involving three issues: water usage, mediation measures, and enforcement. So beginning with water usage for this batching plant, how it affects the water supply for Milford residents. We understand that our water company has approved the usage for batching, and if I understood the last gentleman, they've also approved the usage for wetting down the stockpiles and the site in general.
that won't be used for, that,
No.
we made that clear that that would not be from the water company. The only use is is for making of the cement, and for uses in the building. They're putting in an artesian well to wash the vehicles and to wet down the sand. They won't,
see.
there's no wetting down of the cement, that's internal.
Okay, because that would probably far exceed the required for just batching. The mediation measures cited by the proponent for dust control, like batching inside an enclosure, filtered emissions from the batching site, and wetting down stockpiles and travel areas appear reasonable. So we understand DEP is setting the rules for air and water quality and reviewing the design. Will there be a public meeting held by DEP so citizens will be able to ask questions, gain an understanding of the air and water quality measures from DEP? The third concern, enforcement. When all is said and done, if all mitigation measures are satisfied on paper, who specifically will enforce the implementation of these measures on a day-to-day operation basis? Who do residents affected directly talk to about violations or otherwise ineffective application of each of these remedial measures? The town engineer, planning board, town building inspection, DEP? What are the penalties?
Well, it depends on what you feel the violation is. If it's an air quality issue, then the permitting agency is DEP, and that's who you would go back to. We don't have any oversight over that, nor does the town have the oversight of that. So the only place you can go back to is DEP. So you need to call DEP.
That's concerning, okay.
That's
What
the
are
way
the
the state rules
penalties
are.
for violations? Can their license to operate be revoked? As a result of these concerns, we are asking for very specific answers for dust control, water discharge, noise, traffic. And we ask that all reports involving air quality, water quality, noise, filed to DEP and/or the state be copied to appropriate town official, accessible to the public.
Well, I think all the things from DEP are
That's all
accessible to the
DEP.
public.
Yeah.
So the
Town, office?
I'm not sure who they would send it to, whether it would go to the Board of Health or not. I'm not sure if they're listed on, I'm not familiar with this permit from the DEP, so I'm not sure if the Board of Health is listed on those or not. You have to check. It wouldn't come to the planning board. It's not a planning board
Town
issue.
meeting member.
Yeah, huh?
The town meeting member wants to tell.
Yeah.
Good luck.
And will the DEP be available to the public for questions?
You have to ask DEP.
You gotta
That
call
I'm not
them
sure,
and ask them
again, I'm
that
not sure
question.
what their process is for this
Yeah.
permitting, whether they hold a public hearing or not, or whether they just go through, I don't know if the applicant knows if there's a,
Yeah, and there is not a public hearing associated with the DEP permit process, but it is it is a public permit process.
But
They
they-
just don't schedule a hearing or anything like that. I mean, the best way to track that issue is to be in touch with DEP. It's it's this region, their air quality group, and at some point, if we get approved locally here and ready to go, there'll be permitting to DEP, and there's a comprehensive review process associated with that.
is that out of Worcester?
Yes, it is central region.
So if you go to the DEP website, Central Region, they probably have a phone number there that you can call that group and say, when this gets submitted, is there a mechanism to at least let us know when their hearing is going to be? Again, it's not a public hearing, but I would assume they have to make presentations before DEP. You could attend that meeting.
It is a limited plan approval is what the permit is called, and it's within their air group.
Thank you, thank you.
One more.
Yes? Please state your name and your address, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For the record, my name is Mike Visconti. I live at 7 Muriel Lane in Milford.
Okay.
My residence is about as remotely located from this site as you can probably get in this town. However, invariably, when issues arise in this town, you will find people lining up on opposite sides of the fence, either for or against whatever the issue is. However, there is one issue in this town that I believe you will find the entire town lining up on the same side of the fence, and that is the issue of traffic. Traffic, as you know, is a huge issue in this town, and to get through the town is all but, no, I wouldn't say impossible, but it takes a while. We're talking about concrete trucks leaving the facility. We've all at one time or another been stuck behind a lumbering many thousand-pound concrete mixer, praying to whoever will listen that this truck will get up to 5 miles an hour so they can shift out of first gear.
Mm-hmm.
We've all seen a line of cars behind us pounding their fist and uttering words either aloud or to themselves, words that I cannot repeat here, of course.
Mm-hmm.
We've all done it. We've all seen it. We've also seen cars 3-4 car lengths back take chances with their life to try to pass several cars to get in front of these mixers, these that are lumbering up slight inclines just to get rolling past 5 miles an hour.
Right.
My suggestion would be that if you are inclined to approve this plan
Mhm.
and this proposed facility, that you include a condition prohibiting concrete mixers from leaving the site during morning peak rush hour, so that you will give at least the folks that live in that area a chance to get where they're going during the morning rush hour without having to wait for concrete mixers, as I said, to struggle to get up to 5 miles per hour. Thank you for allowing me to speak, Madam Chair. I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you so much, Michael.
Concrete mixers don't
Gentleman
have trouble
right
getting
there
up
in
to
the red
speed anymore.
No, I know.
Oh, I'm sorry.
These are 190 horsepower.
Jeff Howard, 23 Zane Circle. I just want to echo some of what Peter spoke about in terms of some of the concerns. We do understand, the position that the planning board is in, the rights of the applicant, and the effort that's being put forth to show all proper diligence. The concern that I have, and I know share with many of my neighbors, is really one about compliance and enforcement. I was pleased to hear from the applicant's attorney, I apologize, I don't recall your name, that it is a DEP oversight in terms of the air quality. I know that's been a big question for a lot of us, is who's really responsible for that. We know it's not an area that the town, has responsibility for in general terms. But, and forgive me, I don't want to offend anybody within, that's been involved in town government, but our experience with oversight and, monitoring and oversight, even just of the Milford Stone facility, has not been good. We've struggled to identify, over the years, who it is that we need to talk to about various aspects. We've gradually found our way to understand the fire department's responsible for blasting. The building commissioner, if I understand correctly, is responsible for the plant operation. But it wasn't until the residents of Zane Ridge several years ago raised the issue of excessive blasting that the town even found out that Milford Stone had been operating without a valid permit for quite a few years. And a process was put in place to renew their permit with some conditions, which we certainly appreciated being a part of, but we're still the watchdogs, okay? We still had to go back to the building commissioner to report the fact that they were violating their permit by conducting full mining operations on a Saturday, which is prohibited by their permit. Even after the building commissioner spoke to them recently, they are still starting operations at 7 o'clock every morning with the rock splitters, no dust control. So you have to forgive me if I'm a little bit skeptical
that's fine.
about the
I
monitoring and
get
the
that.
oversight that is within the domain of the town. And to Mr., I apologize, I'm going to butcher your last name if I try and pronounce it.
Calgione.
Sorry. And you kind of echoed, what it is we feel is like, okay, how do we're not in a, I can monitor the fact that Milford Stone has got a full-blown mining operation going at 7 o'clock in the morning. We as mere citizens cannot monitor the air quality, whether there's water runoff
You're not
problems or other
expected to do
conditions.
that either.
So we feel completely helpless on how to ensure that our area is being protected in accordance with the guidelines that the planning board and the DEP are in a position to impose.
Well, you're doing all the right things by going to the right department, to the building commissioner and checking that out. I understand where you're coming from, I really do. And it's wonderful that you're all here looking out for each other. And I truly believe that this is a good way to go. Everybody is on the same wavelength. The EPA, I have to tell you that, this plant will be under scrutiny, watchful eye with the EPA and the DEP. I mean, I was just online looking for other things, and I've just found from the Milford Daily News on August 21st, the glass factory that is down the street from where I live has agreed to pay $103,440 fine after the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency alleged it was discharging wastewater in violation of its permits. So they're on top of everything, There's a power plant down the street from where I live. And I'd be very honest with you, I was one of you guys out there doing the same thing. And things, the town worked with the power plant people as they're working with all of you. And I'm sure that your interest is going to be the top priority for this company when they start with their project. And if there's any issue or problem, we're here for you. And I think that with that said, I commend you for being here. I really do. I have another question. Go ahead.
Yes, I just wanted to say that.
Ma'am,
Your name, please.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm Diane Gogan, 87 Zane.
Okay.
And I appreciate all the good words that people have said today. I just think that so many of us feel like we're bracing ourselves for yet another problem. And you just mentioned, several other facilities in the town of Milford that are causing problems. We're all just trying to make a living and trying to make a life. And to have to be a watchdog for one plant after another, particularly one that has toxic cement dust that causes 5 different forms of cancer. This is not an issue that we think should be plunked down in the middle of a residential area. So we're not just concerned, we're appalled and outraged that such a thing would even be considered. So I plead with you to not allow a toxic cement plant to be plunked down in the middle of your good residents.
Can we
Tax-paying
just
citizens.
clear that? I mean, you've said that, you've sent us a bunch of things, but none of the things that you sent us had anything to do with this plant. This isn't what you sent us. The information that you're sending has nothing to do with this type of plant. I've looked through multiple areas in different zoning things to see what other people, other countries do, and the best I could find is for a concrete batching plant. I believe one province in Ontario requires it to be 300 feet from a residence. This is the best I could find anywhere else. So I tried to look through and see if there was anything else, even though we don't have that. Again, the information that you sent us from all these different places is not this plant. The cancer things that you found, the screenings, that's not what this plant is. So to ask us to act on that type of stuff and that information is very difficult because none of it pertains to what's in front of us.
So are you saying it's not going to reduce air quality?
That isn't within our purview. DEP says this is what they allow. I don't even know what those numbers, what the reference to those numbers would be. What the air quality would be, I'm not sure.
We already have a dust cloud that's over the stone plant. Constant dust. We can't keep our windows and everything clean. You're going to add cement dust to that problem.
No, I don't think we're going to add
No, you're
cement
not
dust.
gonna.
You're saying that, but I don't know why you would. The cement portion is done inside the building. There is no cement outside. There's no cement external to the building.
So you're promising there's going to be no runoff,
I'm
they're-
promising what's on the plan, ma'am.
and they're hosing down the trucks.
Is there runoff on your yard that goes to your neighbors?
There could
Are you
be.
promising that there could be here?
Could be.
I mean, but there has to be some amount of leeway in something like that. You can't say there's going to be nothing. Am I promising absolutely no change to anything out there? No, this is going to be developed. There's going to be some sort of development. There is obviously a change to that. I mean,
There
to say-
is also the issue that they're talking about hosing down the trucks, and they're going to hose down this, and they're going to hose down that. We've had a water ban in Milford for I can't tell you how many years.
That's why this
why
board
they're not gonna
requested
use it.
that they use an artesian well to do that and not take water from the town.
But that's being naive again, because any kind of well is still tapping into the same aquifer that all of our
Not,
wells.
no,
No.
not from the town of Milford. It may be from some other town, to be honest, but not from the town of Milford, not at
All
that
right.
location.
I just think that our natural resources are being, destroyed, and I think that our the poisonous effects of this plant are going to be many. So I feel bad that this is even being
Okay.
considered.
Thank you for your comments. We have one more person here. Yep. Would you give us your name
My
and
name
your,
is
where you
Robin
live?
Gelbwax, and I live at 53 Zane Circle. I have to put my glasses on. I didn't get the,
I understand that.
I'm not a public speaker, so please
That's
bear
quite all
with
right.
me. I was doing a little research today on company time, and I know that you're all aware of the DEP. God knows, we're all aware of the DEP. But are you aware of their division called the Environmental Justice Division? Milford is on their list of towns, and we meet all 3 criteria for places that are negatively impacted, have negative impact on the population. Basically, research shows that low-income minority communities are and have been disproportionately affected by environmental degradation and denied equal access to environmental benefits. Milford is on the state's, the DEP's list of for environmental justice, and we meet all 3 criteria: minority, income, and English isolation. I've reached out to them today. I haven't gotten a response back, but I will keep you posted on what I find out. I just urge caution. We're already very negatively impacted. This affects the whole town, just like the glass plant does, the power plant, all of that. And yes, we do all have to be watchdogs. But, you know, Milford's been impacted in a lot of ways. With a lot of negative stuff that you don't see in some of these other towns. So I'm just urging caution, and I promise I will keep you posted on what I find out.
Thank you, I appreciate
Thank you.
that.
Don't tell my boss.
You know, I
It's being
think,
taped, I think you just did. I just want to clear up one thing.
okay,
We're not an enforcement board at all. All we are is, we look at plans associated with the bylaws of the town of Milford. That's all we do. Regrettably, happily, unfortunately, however you want to look at this, when you look at certain applications specific to either residential, or in this case, commercial industrial, if it's an allowable use, then it can be put there. And that's all the power we have. You gotta understand, we don't change the laws, we don't impact the laws, all we do is overlook them.
right, right. And it's really important to realize that if someone has a piece of property and they follow all the zoning laws to what it reads, and they do everything we ask them to do, I think that's an important thing to think about. To deny anyone that would be wrong. So I'm gonna go from there. Yes, one more question.
I'm sorry. I actually have a follow-up and two, I want to know what the next step is. But my follow-up is, basically, it's not, I don't think any of us would object to some other use for that land.
But we don't get to pick the uses.
We don't get-
Oh, no, I do understand that. I do understand that. What is the next step? Where do we go from here once you guys approve the site, which it sounds like you're going to? More than likely. If-
Well, they're gonna
if
build
all-
it.
If everything's,
But you have to, they comply.
right, if
They
they
comply.
comply.
You
we're-
make it sound like we're intentionally disregarding everything that,
didn't- no,
that's
no,
not
no,
what
no,
we're
no,
doing.
no,
We
no.
only have the issue, and to the attorney's point, there's no special permit. Now, in theory, when Zane Ridge was built, that was on a PRD, a Planned Residential Development. In theory, that was a special permit.
Special permit, right.
So, and I'm not trying to be fresh, and please just don't, I'm just giving you a comparison. If we said no to that, in theory, you wouldn't be in front of us tonight. And again, I am not being disrespectful when I said that. I'm showing you the, no. I'm showing you the difference. I'm
Right.
showing you the difference that, no, I'm showing you that the difference that in theory, everything, we like to look that everything has a plan and everything will work collaboratively together. That's what I'm suggesting. That no disrespect, trust me. I was just showing you different uses, that's all.
Okay.
The next step, once this is approved, if it's approved, and I didn't mean any disrespect to you either.
Okay.
I wasn't meaning it in that way.
All right.
I'm nervous.
No.
Go ahead, please.
Once you put your stamp on it, if you do, where does it go next? What's the next step? That's it?
Get their building permits and they go to DEP.
DEP to get the DEP
permits.
permit.
And then it's the state?
Right.
Okay.
So they go out and get all their permits and make sure, and believe me, the DEP is going to be watchful. They are brutal, and they will do their job, you know, I mean, it's the way it is. So with that said, do I hear a motion?
I make a motion, we approve the, site plan with the amendments that,
With,
Yeah, the truck wash, seasonal water use for the truck wash, stamp the geotech plan, and have the signs on Route 16 as approved by DOT and the town engineer.
Yeah, the only other thing that,
There was something else, but I can't remember what it was.
well, the only other thing that I had, to a certain extent, 'cause looking at the wall type, is that if they come, if something, because this is a highly variable site, and I don't want the site plan coming, or I don't want it as built differently. If there's a change in wall type because of conditions that are out there, I'd like them to come back here before that is just instituted,
Good
So in
point.
other words, the wall type that's shown here is what the expectations are, and if there's a change, I want them to come back before us if there's a change.
If you find something that's.
Yeah.
Right,
Right.
right.
I mean, obviously, within reason,
good
if it's
point.
very close and you're taking out a couple blocks, I don't care, but if there's
Mm-hmm.
a change in type such that you don't have the tiebacks and things like that, that needs to come back here.
So the fourth one would be any major wall type change would need to be resubmitted for review.
Yep.
Wait, there's a
Right.
motion on the floor.
Also, one other thing with the well. Put on the plans where you're gonna have some kind of a storage tank. Even if you drill a well that's got 60 gallons an hour, a minute rather, you're not gonna need it. But if you're gonna need a storage tank to pump a 3 or 4 gallon a minute well to keep it thing, just put one on the site, and then if you get a well to take it, you don't have to build it. Right.
It'll be there. It'll be there.
So do you want me to review? I got five.
Yeah, go through them, Larry.
I
Okay.
got five conditions.
All right, so the motion reads.
Wait a minute, let Larry read the,
Oh, okay.
So far, I got the five, I think I've got five.
So all I want to do is ask.
They're deliberating, sir.
What if you're seriously wrong about the traffic implications? Is there a plan B? What if it's so dangerous with all these trucks coming in and out? That it's
talking
dangerous
4
to
an
you?
hour.
What, is there a plan B?
You're talking 4 trucks an hour.
I don't believe that, sir.
Well,
I'm sorry, I know that's what you've said, and I know that's what they're
told.
saying. I don't believe that.
I thought we were making, you have a motion on the floor.
I'm sorry, we have a motion on the floor, and you'll have to wait. Excuse me.
Babe made the motion.
Babe made the motion. You want to say it again, Babe?
Larry's trying to do it. Larry's trying to do it.
I'm trying
All
to.
right, all right.
I'm trying to read the conditions
All
that
right.
were agreed upon. The motion was to approve, subject to, I think, these five conditions. That the truck wash be shown on the plan and include a note about the seasonal water usage of the truck wash. The second one was that the geotech plan needs to have the engineer's stamp on it. The third one was that the signs are to be placed on Route 16 as approved by DOT in conjunction with town engineer. Number 4, that the wall type change, any major wall type change would need to be resubmitted to the planning board. And the fifth one was that the on-site well, that the plan would show the on-site well location as well as a storage tank in conjunction with it. That sound close?
Yeah, that sounds right.
the only other,
One more, Joe?
the report, did your technical report, will that have the borings in that report? Okay, I just want to make sure that we get a copy of the borings.
Okay, so we have a motion made by,
Storage tank.
who made the,
It is determined to be-
you made the motion,
I
Pat?
did not.
No, Ken did not make the motion.
I haven't opened my mouth.
You made the motion. Motion made by Babe, seconded by Joe. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm still opposed.
4 in favor, 1 opposed. You're welcome.
I had to remain consistent, Bob.
I know you did.
No, like I said, unfortunately, we're not.
See,
No, the patients has nothing to do with it. A and B. You were built with a special permit. We tried to, that's our only role, that's it. We don't get to pick and choose, and again, it maybe came out a little strong, but that was not my intention. Mixed use is my intention, that's, yeah.
yeah, keep in touch with the people at the town hall. And, unfortunately,
Yeah.
it becomes a job. Listen, I know. And I am the lady that watches out for it. And it's like almost 20 years now. So I appreciate you coming. I can't tell you. Yeah, okay, thank you.
Thank you, have a good night.
Ready, Lean?
All right,
I guess he doesn't get it, we can't vote.
we have more on our agenda. Thank you and good night.
Next one.
Hey, how are you?
Close the door.
Did you close the door on the way out?
Don't let it slam.
Leave the door open, I don't want to be trapped in here.
You got citizens of Milford there.
Tina, you ready?
Alrighty then.
I am ready. Number 5, amended site plan for 27 Maple Street.
Want to read what the applicant's for?
Where is it?
The applicant requests an amended site plan approval. There we go.
Here we go.
The applicant requests amended site plan approval to construct a two-story, 4,580 square foot addition to the existing building on the subject property. The approximately 21 by 110 foot addition will be at the southwest rear corner of the building. Temporary office trailer that's currently located to northwest of the building is going to be removed with this construction. The proposed addition is to accommodate internal reconfiguration of equipment. There will be no increase in employees, and the parking and access will remain unchanged. I reviewed the site plan and find that all applicable zoning requirements appear to be met. Therefore, I recommend approval of the amended site plan as submitted, subject to all relevant agency comments, and are attached,
Okay.
Lena, to
Yep.
the, they're all favorable, actually, so.
Comments from Scott Christofouli. He reviewed the above-mentioned site plan and find it to be satisfactory. Fire department, same. Everybody finds it to be satisfactory, the water company.
Bonnie
right.
was the
This is
same.
all part of your ongoing efforts
This
up
is
there.
ongoing, yeah. All right. Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
So
Ba-
busy
Basically,
reading
she's giving you
time.
30 seconds or
Yeah,
less.
this is a quick after the last one, yeah. My name is John Rouse from VHB. I'm accompanied by my colleague Craig Lizotte and Craig Roundtree from Bexalta. This is the Bexalta facility here. It's located at 27 Maple Street. They propose to do actually a 2,000 square foot expansion on the rear of the facility, while also including a retaining wall and another small expansion on the opposite end, which will include a stairwell. The facility is, I think, approximately 76,000 square feet, so a 2,000 square foot addition is pretty small regardless. We've met and contacted all the site plan approval entities, including the water department, highway. We received no comments. We received one prior from the water department, which we met this week on, that requires the water pipe to be in its own trench with a minimum of 5 feet offset. After review with David Condry of the water department,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
he allowed us lenience for including a drainage pipe within that.
Parking's not an issue, right? You continue to have ample parking?
Yep, there will be no additional employees within this for this
Again, as long as
expansion.
parking's not becoming
so-
an issue, like I said, I think we've been very amenable to all your changes, and again,
I agree.
I just want to make sure that we're not going to the point that parking becomes an issue. And if I recall, you still have property to the right that can be,
Yes.
I thought so, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I just wanted to.
Yeah, that was a prior
When you come back and
approval,
forth a few
yeah.
times, I like to pretend like I still
Right.
think I remember one or two aspects of the,
That was when it was
of the
biomeasured.
15th plan before this.
Yeah, that was when it was biomeasured.
Yeah, but nonetheless, it's the same.
The 2,000 and some square foot's the size of the footprint.
Correct.
It's a two-story building, but at any rate, that's why the discrepancy in numbers. So it's approvable as submitted.
If you have any, if you don't have any
No, I don't have any
questions.
questions.
I'll
Anyone
make a
else?
motion.
I move
if there's
we
no que-
approve
go
the
ahead.
site plan.
Second,
Motion made by John to approve the site plan, second by Pat. All in favor?
good luck.
Any opposed? It's unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Have a good night.
No, if we have to wait, you wait.
Don't sneak it in. Okay, bond release, South Central Estates, Roland Way, F&D Central.
Yep. We accepted the street at
Hi,
the
guys.
last town meeting. We accepted the street at the last town meeting.
did, yes.
We need to release the remaining
Motion.
bond, 146,000, I'll get it right yet, $905.
We did discuss this at
I
the last
second
meeting.
that.
We discussed this at the last meeting.
We
that you
did,
can't-
yeah.
You can't.
We
no,
can't
what-
hold it.
I thought we made the motion last meeting, but maybe I'm wrong.
No, we had to wait. So motion made by Pat to release the $126,905.
I'll second.
Seconded by,
Dave seconded it.
seconded by Babe. All in favor? Unanimous of 5.
I did.
No problem.
Thank you.
Nice presentation.
Thanks for coming.
Hey, you did well.
You waited a long time.
Listen, I think you're the
Thank
only
you.
guy who walked in with money, okay, and left with money.
Good night now.
Good night.
Good night.
You guys. Yep.
Okay, number
for this
7, zoning amendments, sign section.
We shouldn't
Hey,
bother.
the,
Number 7
this
first.
number 7,
I'm on
is,
7.
This is so you can put the sign in the newly created district.
Yeah.
Right, there
Right.
should be a letter
In the OR.
in your packet. Somehow, in all of those zone changes over the years, we neglected to tweak the sign section to allow them in office, residential, and business park zones. The
Right.
selectmen have remanded it for hearing, which is a good thing, because I sent it to the paper at 7:45 this morning. So the public hearing will be at your next meeting.
Perfect.
It literally just adds, as you see on the second page, it just adds those
I see that.
those lines so that the OR district is provided for, as well as the BP in those other zones. Which is the reason we didn't address it on the prior special permit, is because right now there are no provisions for signs in that zone, so.
All right.
So, just so you're up to speed, that's what's happening with that. Like I say, the public hearing's at your next meeting, and
Okay.
we've processed all the paperwork, so you can do that properly.
All right.
The last one,
The last one, continued discussion on the sign section of the zoning bylaw.
this is what we were looking at for the annual town meeting.
Which annual, not this one?
Not in October.
That's the special.
That's special.
Annual.
Annual's
Oh.
in May. Yeah,
Right,
not-
okay,
Not the
right.
special, the annual. And as I briefly mentioned the last time, based on the Supreme Court's recent ruling, we wanted to make sure that the structure of the bylaw was as content neutral as you can possibly make it. Jerry and I have gone over this numerous times, and we felt that at least the structure of this draft puts you in a position where, as long as you stick to this kind of an approach, it'll be content neutral. The things that would seem, at least from my standpoint anyway, that would be up for debate would be back in terms, primarily at least, in terms of back in, on page 4, where you start to talk about the signs permitted in the different districts, in terms of how many, what kind, how big, how tall, whether they're lighted or not, whatever.
Larry, you gotta get me, on 394 though, before we even go to page 4, we always skip over page 2.
We do.
I still have a problem with the balloons being, I can't get there. I can't get there.
But what I'm trying to get at right now is the structure of the thing.
I know what you're
is
trying to
the
do.
legal structure. Get into those details.
I'm narrow-minded at
later.
times, though. This is
Well,
why I get
I've
focused
noticed
on, well, at least I'm honest about it. I mean,
But those are
Yeah,
things.
those comments come out in the public hearing.
Right.
they shouldn't even hit the public hearing, Joe. I don't want to embarrass ourselves by prohibiting, by prohibiting,
But at the same token,
balloons.
aside from being mindful of what the Supreme Court has just told us is the law of the land for signs, you also have to bear in mind what town meeting may or may not approve, and what the members of the community in general might want to see, in terms of whether they want to really mess up their town with a lot of clutter for signs or not. And that's a
I don't
personal thing.
disagree with where you're heading. It's not that I
So-
disagree with the direction you're going in.
Well-
I just have I just stumble when we start to take off.
But the reason those things are in there is because typically, if those kinds of prohibitions are not listed right up front for consideration, they may not even make it into the conversation.
All
I'm
right.
not saying that you would just take this and blindly go with it as far as the details, but I am saying that you really ought to stick to this structure, you really ought to stick to this approach of content neutrality.
Okay.
And having said that, then, when you get to these other things about how many and where are they, and you want to talk about what we have been calling political signs, you can't talk about that anymore.
Right.
You can't identify a whole group of signs by what they say or what their intention is. So if you want to allow a whole bunch of political signs, then you're going to allow any other similar structural type of sign, irrespective of the message, because you can't regulate the message. So if you want to allow somebody to have
Some seal
15
coating, asphalting,
whatever
political,
it says,
yeah, I get what you're
doesn't
saying.
stump grinding.
Yeah.
The sign I
We get
drive
you.
by every day that says stump grind. Yeah,
Tree stumping.
So
Well,
to
eventually
the,
winter will come and it will go.
but to the extent that you can regulate how long those kinds of signs can be there and sort them out by zoning district, then you can do it. But at
That's
any
the
rate-
bottom line here. How long can they be there? to
Well,
me?
that's up to
yeah.
you.
You know.
But if you're,
Well, I
but
think
if
you're,
you're,
mean,
I
if
think
it
you're getting
says-
closer to the crux
Yeah,
of the problem.
If it says September 5th to September 20th, on September 22nd, it should be down.
well, but that
You're not
may
gonna-
not apply
Huh?
if it's,
You're not gonna be able to do dates.
yeah, you
Right,
can't.
no, I know, but if they say, well, most of these signs have dates on them, like
Well, but
the
that's
car
different.
show, September
But you can't-
20th.
you can't
Huge
regulate
yellow
it based
sign.
on that.
Again, you're looking at that, you can't do that.
Watch what you say.
The-
Yeah, about the car show.
The choice is going to come down to, do you call something a temporary sign or not? And I had this discussion with Larry, do we want to do that? Because there is no way that we can police it. The mechanism for policing it is going to be, there's been a sign up at somebody's yard, whatever it is.
Could be a real
It's been
estate
up-
sign.
Could be. It's been up for 4 weeks. Next door neighbor calls the building inspector and says, sign's been up longer than, if we have it in the bylaw, longer than the bylaw allows. Building inspector's gonna go out and say, well, it was there on May 1st, 4 weeks from now, I'll go and look, and if it's still there, I get to take it down. That's the only mechanism we will have to police it.
Right.
Because to think that we're going to create something that requires the building inspector for political signs, to have him, in order to put a political sign up, you have to have him sign knowing where the sign is and the date it went up, that's not happening.
No, no,
Yeah,
and it's
I-
not like, it's not
We
like Beach
never get by
Park where they go with the
right.
chalk lines and they see
Right,
how
we-
long you've been there.
Right,
That's
we'd
not
never,
gonna
we'd
be
never get past
practical.
town meeting with that. So I think we're in a situation where we either allow signs and forget about calling them temporary, because temporary
They're not.
doesn't exist anymore.
They're not.
They're not, or
Well,
we do signs, we do temporary signs, but know that the mechanism is gonna be such that it's our own policing, and the policing will start at the point in time that somebody gets upset enough that they don't wanna look at the sign out there anymore, and they go and tell somebody. That's gonna be the mechanism. I don't know how else you get around it.
Wow.
But another important element of this kind of structure, and I did skip over it kind of intentionally, Pat, but hey, you caught me anyway. No, the other thing I wanted to get back to was things that you don't want to regulate as signs are traffic control devices.
Right.
You don't want to call a traffic light that we or the state puts up a sign. It's a traffic control device. Now, we may call it a stop sign or a stoplight or whatever, but it's a traffic control device. That combined with its location, which is typically in a public street right-of-way, but in some cases, they're private streets as well. The other thing in terms of the location is that this structure, in this draft anyway, divides the town into two different classes of property. It's either a street right-of-way, public or private, it's a street right-of-way or it's not. If it's not a street right-of-way, all that other land is considered a zoning lot. Whether the town owns it, whether you own it, whether I own it, whoever owns it, and whatever it takes to meet the zoning requirements in that district, it's a zoning lot. But it's not a street right-of-way. So we can prohibit everything within a street right-of-way except traffic control devices, which is what typically we want to see there. Now, the only exception, and I've tried to include that, would be doing the banners that the town has traditionally allowed over Main Street for parades and other,
Right.
so that's in there. But
You've
barring-
exempt them with their permission, I noticed.
Right, barring that, you don't allow any signs in a street right-of-way, period, because traffic control devices aren't signs.
Right, right.
And then, so that
What
simplifies.
about the holiday lights that they typically put on the poles
Well, the section,
Street, Milford.
There's a section here that says,
Yeah, I think
national flag,
yeah,
state
national
municipal
flags
officials.
are not considered signs.
Holiday lights and
Decoration are
decorations.
not considered signs
They're not
either.
considered.
Let's go back to the balloons, which I gotta,
Well,
what,
that's,
tethered balloons. Now, if a balloon's got a string on it, do you consider that tethered?
Well, I think that's the
well, are you
definition
holding it, or?
that
I
you
mean,
need to
we would-
make.
Yeah.
No, I put it on the stroller.
No,
I don't
I think
want the kid
that's,
to lose it.
I think that's
So
the
now it's
definition.
tethered,
All
but it's
right.
mobile. It's
Okay.
mobile.
Okay.
Effectively,
okay.
if you said nothing right now, you could take the MetLife blimp in and
Exactly.
tether it, and it's legal. Do you really want that? I don't think the intent was to stop a balloon, a single balloon that says "Happy Birthday" on someone's mailbox.
right.
But
And I-
balloons in general, you need to look at them in the magnitude of what they can or can't
Right.
be.
And I know Pat likes to
Also, I don't want.
If my neighbor all of a sudden comes home with a balloon, and it's over his house, I'm gonna be in amazement. I don't think that, I don't, I'm sorry, but
I'm not worried about you necessarily, and it's there, but
Oh, I'd
I could
worry
certainly
about
see it on Fortune Boulevard.
But I don't wanna see.
I could see it at a Toyota dealership. I've seen them at Toyota dealerships before.
I don't wanna see.
it would be-
deal-
certainly would be
car-
temporary.
I don't wanna see car dealerships when they tie balloons onto the antenna, tell them they gotta take the balloons off the antenna when these people are trying to
Well,
get business.
and that's why I'm saying I think it's a definition.
That's-
We're
that's-
thinking,
we could
we're thinking this
define-
little balloon, but I think we need to
All right.
broaden what a balloon
I
is.
have a hard time with balloons, period. I can't get over it.
So can we
I don't like
define
clowns.
that? Define the balloons.
Sorry.
Definition for balloon, right?
Definition for balloons.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, you make a point.
I've
If you
seen
have a
them come
car,
down and
if
tell
you have a
car
car
dealers-
lot, you're selling cars.
I see them come down and tell car dealers they have to take the balloons off the cars. Most ridiculous thing I ever heard of in my life.
Now, an inflatable sign, that's not like a slip inside, because it says slip inside on it, so I mean, is it a sign or is it actually a toy? I don't know. Again,
Well,
I'm
to
not
the-
gonna, I'm not gonna reach into people's backyard and tell them how they can and can't live in their backyard. I refuse to do
Well, we
that.
already do that.
No, I'm not. You can do it, I will not.
Zoning already does that.
Not
But to the extent, again, that the structure's here, and if we can get to these points of better detail about what exactly a tethered balloon is, I'm thinking of closer to the blimp than a child's balloon, certainly.
And again, I agree.
We
if
can
you put-
define,
If you put a
If you,
15 or
but then
20
just
foot.
put them, you can't have
Put
the,
a
you can't have the
20-foot
Goodyear
balloon,
blimp.
100 feet in the air, I agree. I agree
but
with that.
we can come to a
Well, I think that's what we
definition.
need to
But
get the
we've
public
come
hearing
to a-
for.
Yeah, but we could come
Just
to a
like, just to,
definition.
and I'm not
Those
trying
are
to
the types of
split,
things
I'm not
that
trying to,
that we need input
you
from
know,
other people.
I'm not trying to split hair with you, but Larry,
Get,
if I had an old stop sign in my backyard, the way this is written, okay, it could be confused with an official traffic control device.
Well, but it's not visible from the street, and if you
No,
read
but-
through these other sections, that's how this is beginning to get applied when you look at
Within the
this.
right of way, so anything that's in my backyard that's not obviously in any type of right of way, it's fine, but again, sometimes you just,
Your backyard's dangerous, I don't know.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
It's always covered by something.
stop it.
Okay.
so at any rate, hopefully, if we can keep talking about this, and come to some kind of resolution, bearing in mind the constitutional issues on the one hand, but also, try to be mindful of what our perception is of the average citizen in Milford, and whether they wanna have their sign, their town crapped up by a lot of signs. That's a technical,
No, I hear what you're saying. All right.
and.
This is a catch-22.
That, yeah, and also something that town meeting's gonna feel comfortable with, because you're gonna be sponsoring it, and by the time we start talking about it, hopefully, if the selectmen are still concerned about it, they'll come to at least the public hearing, or otherwise participate between now and then in these meetings as we go along.
Yeah,
so.
if not, we need to go to one of their meetings prior to. I will not sponsor this article without buy-in from other members of the towns. This is not gonna be one that this
I
planning board
agree.
walks up with nothing and then gets shot down at town meeting. I don't need to do that again. I've done it a few times and there's no reason to do it. So unless there's consensus from all the other boards, the building inspector, the selectmen,
Yeah.
zoning board, then To me,
I'm not sure on the zoning board.
You can't, it's
I'm
inappropriate.
not sure about that one, Joe.
I understand that, but
It's
to a certain,
appropriate to get the zoning board involved in something like this, because they're a quasi judicial body that really, shouldn't be involved.
Has no
at
business in
stage.
this, since they're the.
Yeah, it's not fair to them, and
Since
it's
they're the relief
inappropriate.
board. All right.
They broke their rubber stamp.
All right,
Okay, one other thing, Larry,
one other thing.
Still on this?
Trying.
no.
No, moving on.
Can we send a letter to the water company? Tell them when we ask for approval for the water, that they give us approval, yes, we have enough water, no, we don't have enough water. I don't care about their rules and regulations, and I don't want them on all our letters, the rules and regulations of what they're gonna do. That's up to them, they're a private company, let them take care of that.
Valid point.
So you'd want a letter that specifies whether they're approving it or not?
Thumbs up or thumbs down.
Similar to what we get from.
The Romans had it a long time ago,
Well,
it's
yeah.
one way or the other.
I mean, I think the thing is that we're not a mechanism for the water company to make sure that the contractor gets their inspector out there and all that stuff. That's between them and the applicant. It doesn't need to be on anything, gets sent back to us.
So you don't want
Point.
them to recite their rules?
That's correct.
You want them to tell you whether it's
Approve or
gonna.
disapprove.
Yes, we have enough water to service this, and we approve the plan. If there's a material change to what needs to be done, you need to run the water line here or there.
Okay.
Yes, we wanna hear about that. I don't wanna hear that it
Odding
needs to be
change.
cast iron,
That's a
Their
really-
inspector,
that's a
this,
really-
that, and the other
That's a
thing.
really good point, yeah. All right.
Motion for adjournment.
It's fine for them to send that to the
that's why I
applicant,
did that.
because
Yeah.
when I get it, I send them to the applicant. But it's not exactly what
I
we're.
don't wanna start doing, I don't wanna read it in the, I don't want to read off.
Motion for adjournment.
Pat, motion for adjournment, second by John. All in favor? Good night, everyone. Have a good night.
Good night.
Good night.